I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey Patriot Warrior fam, I'm Face, and these are the histories that America forgot. According to Wikipedia, quote, the state of Franklin, also the Free Republic of Frankland or the state of Frankland, was an unrecognized proposed state located in present-day East Tennessee in the United States. Franklin was created in 1784 from part of the territory west of the Appalachian Mountains that had been offered by North Carolina as a cession to Congress to help pay off debts related to the American War for Independence. It was founded with the intent of becoming the 14th state of the new United States. Franklin's first capital was Jonesboro. After the summer of 1785, the government of Franklin, which was by then based in Greenville, ruled as a, quote, parallel government, end quote, running alongside, but not harmoniously with, a re-established North Carolina bureaucracy. Franklin was never admitted into the Union. The extra-legal state existed for only about 4.5 years, ostensibly as a republic, after which North Carolina reassumed full control of the area. The creation of Franklin is novel in that it resulted from both a cession, an offering from North Carolina to Congress, and a secession, seceding from North Carolina, when its offer to Congress was not acted upon and the original cession was rescinded. The concept of a new Western state came from Arthur Campbell of Washington County, Virginia, and John Sevier. They believed the over-mountain towns should be admitted to the United States as a separate state. They differed, however, on the details of such a state, although John Sevier, in a letter written in 1782, acknowledged Campbell's leadership on the issue. Campbell's proposed state would have included southwestern Virginia, eastern Tennessee, and parts of Kentucky, Georgia, and Alabama. Sevier favored a more limited state, that being the eastern section of the old Washington District, which was then part of North Carolina. Although many of the frontiersmen supported the idea, Campbell's calls for the creation of an independent state carved out of parts of Virginia territory caused Virginia governor and Kentucky land speculator Patrick Henry, who opposed a loss of territory for the state, to pass a law that forbade anyone to attempt to create a new state from Virginia by the cession of state territory. After Virginia Governor Henry stopped Campbell, Sevier and his followers renamed their proposed state Franklin and sought support for their cause from Benjamin Franklin. The Frankland movement had little success on the Kentucky frontier, as settlers there wanted their own state, which they achieved in 1792. The United States Congress was heavily in debt at the close of the American War for Independence. In April 1784, the state of North Carolina voted, quote, to give Congress the 29 million acres, lying between the Allegheny Mountains, as the entire Appalachian Range was then called, and the Mississippi River, end quote. to help offset its war debts. This area was a large part of what had been the Washington District, usually referred to simply as the Western Counties. These Western counties had originally been acquired by lease from the Overhill Cherokee, out of which the Watauga Republic had arisen. The North Carolina cession to the federal government had a stipulation that Congress would have to accept responsibility for the area within 2 years, which, for various reasons, it was reluctant to do. The cession effectively left the western settlements of North Carolina alone in dealing with the Cherokee of the area, many of whom who had not yet made peace with the new nation. These developments were not welcomed by the frontiersmen, who had pushed even further westward, gaining a foothold on the western Cumberland River at Fort Nashboro, now Nashville, or the Over Mountain Men, many of whom had settled in the area during the days of the old Watauga Republic. Inhabitants of the region feared that the cash-starved federal Congress might even be desperate enough to sell the frontier territory to a competing foreign power, such as France or Spain. A few months later, a newly elected North Carolina legislature re-evaluated the situation. Realizing the land could not at the time be used for its intended purpose of paying the debts of Congress and weighing the perceived economic loss of potential real estate opportunities, it rescinded the offer of cession and reasserted its claim to the remote Western District. The North Carolina lawmakers ordered judges to hold court in the western counties and arranged to enroll a brigade of soldiers for defense, appointing John Sevier to form it. Rapidly increasing dissatisfaction with North Carolina's governance led to the frontiersmen's calls to establish a separate, secure, and independent state. On August 23, 1784, delegates from the North Carolina counties of Washington, which at the time included present-day Carter County, Sullivan, Spencer, now Hawkins County, and Greene, all of which are in present-day Tennessee, convened in the town of Jonesboro. There they declared the lands to be independent of the state of North Carolina. Leaders were duly elected. John Sevier reluctantly became governor, Landon Carter, Speaker of the Senate, William Cage, first Speaker of the House of Representatives, and David Campbell, Judge of the Superior Court. Thomas Talbot served as the Senate clerk, while Thomas Chapman served as the clerk of the House. The delegates were called to a constitutional convention held at Jonesboro in December of that year. There they drafted a constitution that excluded lawyers, doctors, and preachers as candidates for the election to the legislature. The constitution was defeated in referendum. Afterwards, the area continued to operate under tenets of the North Carolina state constitution. On May 16, 1785, a delegation submitted a petition for statehood to Congress. Eventually, 7 states voted to admit what would have been the 14th federal state under the proposed name of Frankland. This was, however, less than 2/3 majority required under the Articles of Confederation to add additional states to the Confederation. The following month, the Frankland government convened to address their options and to replace the vacancy as Speaker of the House, to which position they elected Joseph Hardin. In an attempt to curry favor for their cause, delegation leaders changed the official name of the area to Franklin, ostensibly after Benjamin Franklin. Sevier even tried to persuade Franklin to support their cause by letter, but he declined, writing, quote, "I am sensible of the honor which your Excellency and your council thereby do me. But being in Europe when your state was formed, I am too little acquainted with the circumstances to be able to offer you anything just now that might be of importance, since everything material that regards your welfare will doubtless have occurred to yourselves. I will endeavor to inform myself more perfectly of your affairs by inquiry and searching the records of Congress, and if anything should occur to me that I think may be useful to you, you shall hear from me thereupon." End quote. Benjamin Franklin, letter to Governor John Sevier, 1787. Franklin, still at odds with North Carolina over taxation, protection, and other issues, began operating as a de facto independent republic after the failed statehood attempt. Greenville was declared the new capital. The government had previously been assembling at Jonesboro, only blocks away from the North Carolina-backed rival seat of government. The first legislature met in Greenville in December 1785. The delegates adopted a permanent constitution, known as the Holston Constitution, which was modeled closely upon that of North Carolina. John Sevier also proposed to commission a Franklin state flag, but it was never designed. Franklin opened courts, incorporated and annexed 5 new counties, and fixed taxes and officers' salaries. Barter became the economic system du jour, with anything in common use among the people allowed in payments to settle debts, including corn, tobacco, apple brandy, and skins. Sevier was often paid in deer hides. Federal or foreign currencies were accepted. All citizens were granted a 2-year reprieve on paying taxes, but the lack of hard currency and economic infrastructure slowed development and often created confusion. The new legislature made peace treaties with the Native American tribes in the area, with few exceptions, the most notable being the Chickamauga Cherokee. The Cherokee claim to sovereignty over much of the area of southern Franklin, though already occupied by whites, was maintained at the 1785 Treaty of Hopewell with the federal government. In 1786, Samuel Ware helped negotiate the competing Treaty of Coyatee on behalf of the state of Franklin. Coyatee reaffirmed the 1785 Treaty of Dumpling Creek, which the Republic had secured from the Cherokee and which Dragging Canoe's Chickamauga faction had refused to recognize. The new treaty extended the area for white settlement as far south as the Little Tennessee River, along which the main Overhill Cherokee towns were located. The Cherokee did not formally relinquish their claim to this territory to the U.S. until the July 1791 Treaty of Holston, and even then hostilities continued in the area for years afterwards. The small state began its demise in 1786, with several key residents and supporters of Franklin withdrawing their support in favor of a newly reinterested North Carolina. Until this point, Franklin had not had the benefit of either the Federal Army or the North Carolina militia. In late 1786, North Carolina offered to waive all back taxes if Franklin would reunite with its government. When this offer was popularly rejected in 1787, North Carolina moved in with troops under the leadership of Colonel John Tipton, and reestablished its own courts, jails, and government at Jonesboro. The two rival administrations now competed side by side. In 1787, the Franklinites continued to expand their territory westward toward the Cumberland Mountains by forcibly stealing land from the Native American populations. The frontier shifted back and forth, often throughout the Cherokee-American Wars. The September 1787 meeting in the Franklin legislature, however, was its last. At the end of 1787, loyalties were divided among the area's residents and came to a head in early February 1788. Jonathan Pugh, the North Carolina sheriff of Washington County, was ordered by the county court to seize any property of Sevier's to settle tax debts North Carolina contended were owed to them. The property seized included several slaves who were brought to Tipton's home and secured in his underground kitchen. On February 27th, Governor Sevier arrived at the Tipton house, leading a force numbering more than 100 men. During a heavy snowstorm in the early morning of February 29th, Colonel George Maxwell arrived with a force equivalent to Sevier's to reinforce Tipton. After 10 minutes of skirmishing, Sevier and his force withdrew to Jonesboro. A number of men were captured or wounded on both sides, and 3 men were killed. In late March 1788, the Chickamauga, Chickasaw, and other tribes collectively began to attack American frontier settlements in Franklin. A desperate Sevier sought a loan from the Spanish government, with help from James White, who was later found to be a paid agent of Spain. He attempted to place Franklin under Spanish rule. Opposed to any foreign nation, gaining a foothold in Franklin, North Carolina, officials arrested Sevier in August 1788. Sevier's supporters quickly freed him from the local jail and retreated to Lesser Franklin. In February 1789, Sevier and his last holdouts of the lost state swore oaths of allegiance to North Carolina after turning themselves in. North Carolina sent their militia to aid in driving out the Cherokee and Chickasaw. After the dissolution of the state of Franklin in February 1789, continued support of the separate state movement was confined largely to Sevier County, specifically in the country south of the French Broad River. The people there realized that the only entity recognizing title to their land holdings had been Franklin. Both North Carolina and the federal Confederation government supported the Cherokee claims as set forth in the Treaty of Hopewell, and considered settlers in the area squatters. This led to the formation of a Lesser Franklin government with Articles of Association similar to the earlier Watauga Constitution. In 1789, these articles were adopted in Newell's Station. which served as the seat of government for the wider area of Lesser Franklin, including all the settled country south of the French Broad. The Lesser Franklin government finally ended in 1791, when Governor William Blount of the newly formed Southwest Territory met the Cherokee chieftains on the site of the future Knoxville, and they made the Treaty of Holston. The Overhill Cherokee now acknowledged the authority of the United States government and ceded to the federal government all of their lands south of the French Broad, almost as far as the Little Tennessee River. By early 1789, the government of the state of Franklin outside of Lesser Franklin had collapsed entirely, and the territory was firmly back under the control of North Carolina. Soon thereafter, North Carolina once again ceded the area to the federal government to form the Southwest Territory, the precursor to the state of Tennessee. Sevier was elected in 1790 to the U.S. Congress to represent the territory and become Tennessee's first governor in 1796. Colonel John Tipton signed the Tennessee Constitution as the representative from Washington County. Notable Franklinites include William Koch, American lawyer, pioneer, and statesman; David Crockett, famed frontiersman and statesman born in Greene County, Franklin; Samuel Doak, Presbyterian minister, pioneer, founded earliest schools and church in East Tennessee, delegate to the lost state of Franklin which convened in Greenville; Colonel Joseph Hardin, Speaker of the House for the state of Franklin, trustee of Greenville, now Tusculum College; John Sevier, Governor of Franklin, first Governor of Tennessee; Lieutenant Samuel Ware, co-founder of Franklin, veteran of the Revolutionary War, War of 1812, and the Indian Wars, fought at the Battle of Kings Mountain; General James White, American pioneer and soldier who founded Knoxville, Tennessee.
I can hear the drums in the distance. I can feel the fear, the resistance. Everything can change in an instant. You might stay alive if you listen. Your best friend is your instincts, don't think. Trust me, everything can change in a blink. Hearts race, I can feel my heart pounding. Hold our heads up and this the chant we'll be shouting. This is war, you won't take me. This is war, you can't break me. It's just me, no saving. I'm the only one who could save me. So stand strong, stand tall, stay up, don't fall. Give it everything you got, no fears, no walls. Just fight, no loss, push yourself to the limit. Just to fight for it all.
Then I'm on top of it, I got fuel for days, it's a weapons that you can't stop, yeah, I won't think twice until the enemy won't make it out alive. I got a full supply of energy and might pick the wrong side, Here I go, taking every single blow to the dome, never slow, pushing through it cause you know that I chose to be known, legendary, I'ma show everybody in this battle that comes close, they exposed, yeah.
This is war, you won't take me. This is war, you can't break me. It's just me, no saving. I'm the only one who could save me. So stand strong, stand tall, stay up, don't fall.